the era and the time of the paganism or Jahiliyyah, the pre-Islamic era, was one of the worst eras that the region faced in that time, where the Arab tribes used to invade each other, attack each other, and kidnap and loot each other's belongings and even humans, and take them as slaves and maids. It was one of the vicious and dark history in that era. And that's why Allah Azza wa Jal, the wise, sent such a great prophet to such a deviant, bigoted, aggressive nation. And you can see till today, this Arab nation, some of them, some regions, the extremists, what they did for the past 50 years. And the leaders, of course, the dictators who came on the Arab land and led the Arab nation into wars and battles and killings. So you can see the traces, feel the like, how they were in the past before the 14th century. Those Allah Azza wa Jal sent the best of creation, although we had, beside the Arab nation, the Jahili nation, we had the Empire Persia, the Fars, and we had the Roman Empire. These two empires were in somehow a bit civilized more than the Arabs. But the Arab pagans were absolutely ignorant, bigoted, against humanity, against all the bases of human rights, and even the rights of their own people. So Allah Azza wa Jal, with His blessing, with His rahmah, He sent Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. To such a nation, to guide them and to lead them towards the right path and light of guidance, and to take them out from the darkness of ignorance. And He began from the Arabian Peninsula, Hijaz, Ard al-Hijaz. And He sent the Dawah, He sent letters to the empires, to the leaders of the world, to the Egypt king, to the Persia's king, Romans kings, other kings, inviting them towards Islam. Of course, majority refused. There was one king who accepted the Da'wah, and he became Muslim as a king. And he was Najashi, the king of Ethiopia, Habasha, at that time. And he became one of the pious believers. You know, it's difficult to find leaders who are mu'min, pious, and they die on the right path, on the haqq. So the invitation was to bring people out from ignorance, Jahiliyyah, to the nur of the hidayah to the right path, to give people happiness in this life and in the hereafter as well. Now the Holy Quran states, أَفَحُكْمَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ يَبْغُونَ. Do they want the rule of the Jahiliyyah again? What's wrong with them? وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حُكْمًا. The best hukum, the best rule is Allah's rules. We think that the man-made rule, and somehow it's a good rule, which that's what we have been facing and living with every day in our life. But the hukum of Allah Azza wa Jal, if it's implemented perfectly, as the Prophet did, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Imam Ali alayhi salam, it would be, of course, it would be a complete hukum, that and just hukum, in which no one will complain about it. Now we complain about the rise of for example, the taxes, income taxes, other taxes, and fuel prices. We complain always, although we are, alhamdulillah, well off compared to those who are in the East and facing difficulties in their daily living allowances. But the Islamic hukum, the true Islamic hukum, in which one example I'll give you, and I'll continue my lecture. in the time of the Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he was the leader, or the apparent Khalifa leader, for 4.5 years in Kufa. This leader used to walk in the alleyways and the streets of Kufa and talk to people, talk to the businessmen, tradesmen, to the market. Oh, don't sell with riba, with interest, don't cheat, don't deceive people when you buy and sell. The Imam used to admonish them as a leader, walks within the people. He wouldn't be in a castle with doors and the guards and so forth. No, he would go on within the people. Salamullah alayh. Once he was walking in the streets of the Kufa, he saw an old man begging. The Imam didn't say to his surroundings, the people, who is he that is begging? He said, what is this? What is this phenomenon? Begging in the leadership of Ali alayhi salam, and the rule of Ali alayhi salam? Not accepted. They said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, he is a Christian man, an old Christian man, and he can't work, he can't do anything. The Imam said, when he was young, he used him. Now that he is retired and unable to work, you neglect him and you just abandoned him in the street, go and give him from Bayt al-Mal. So they basically gave him Bayt al-Mal, a monthly salary. And you can see that how after 14th century, the Western world, inspired by these rulings in Islam, they won't tell you this is Islamic rulings, that they have the system of supporting those who can't work, for example, paying part of their rents, part of their salaries. They support in the scheme of benefit system, for example. They help. That comes from the Imam Sallallahu Alaihi, who established this Bayt al-Mal. Those who can't work, they get from Bayt al-Mal an amount, a salary, wages, so they can make their livings without begging. And that's why there was no such poverty in the time of Ali alayhi salam as a leader. It's very strange to hear that, because nowadays in every Muslim country you see, if not millions, thousands of people who are under the line of poverty. And that's because Islam is not correctly implemented. You can blame the West, that's fine. But what about yourself? Alaykum anfusakum, Quran says. You're responsible as a hakim, Muslim hakim, as a Muslim leader, to feed your people. Don't put too much pressure on your people. Feed them. Give them some of the Bayt al-Mal that comes through selling, I don't know, through tourism, through selling gas, oil, whatever you have, natural resources. Support your people first. Feed them. So they won't revolt against you. So they won't go and shake hands with the devil to overthrow you. Feed them first. They are your people, your iyal, as the narration states. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So one of the Jahili tradition that they had, that they used to bury their born females, baby girls, alive. Why? Because, as I've said before, the Arab tribe used to invade each other's lands and loot each other's assets and belongings and kidnap each other. And amongst them, of course, the females, sadly, as maids and such like. So to avoid this shame, they used to bury their girls alive in the graves. So Islam came and removed all these traditions. One of the benefits of this great religion that gave humanity to the people in that time, insaniya. And again, I say again, one of the benefits that we see today for human rights and protection comes from what the Imam alayhi salam wrote to Malik al-Ashtar when he said to him, when he sent him as a new government in Egypt, but he was assassinated and killed by Muawiyah, la'anahullah. The Imam told him, do not be like a fierce lion against your people. وَلَا تَكُنْ عَلَيْهِمْ سَبُعًا ضَارِيًا. No, treat your people nicely. They protest, that's fine. Respect. When they came out when the Imam Salamullah took the office of the Khilafah, the apparent Khilafah, it was the month of Ramadan, people start to pray in the mosque of Kufa, Taraweeh. Is this Rasulullah Sunnah? He says, the second, that this is a bid'ah. He confesses in the books. Check. Muslim, others, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i. He says, he blesses, he says, ni'matul bid'ah. He praises this is a bid'ah that I made. Ni'matul bid'ah hadi. Okay, that's fine. Imam said to his son Hassan alayhi salam, go and admonish him and tell them that don't pray Salat Tarawih. It's not Rasulullah Sunnah. He went on the first night. All Muslims, don't pray this Salah, this is a bid'ah. They came out protesting. Wah, Sunnat Umara. Not Sunnat Rasulullah, Sunnat Umara. The Imam said, khalas, leave them. Did he suppress them? Beat them with batons? No. This is how a Muslim leader should be. Don't beat your people, kill them, suppress them. Listen to their needs, try to fulfill as much as you can. And even the Khawarij, a man was sitting in the mosque of the Imam Salamullah in Kufa. He stood up and he said, Kafirun ma aftahah, na'udhu billah. The Imam was giving a sermon, lecture. He said, he's a kafir, na'udhu billah, the Imam, but he's knowledgeable, he is faqih, he's a alim. Again, they wanted to beat him, kill him. The Imam said, no, leave him. So this is how a Muslim ruler should be, hakim. Treat your citizens as your own children, ayal, as the hadith says. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The Quran speaks about this burying their daughters alive. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. What is the guilt of those girls who were buried alive? They will ask him on the day of judgment. Yes, there's hisab, as I've said. Hisab. So, one of the, just a short break, for those who are married, it's important to know that one of the rulings of the Sharia, that we are not allowed to kill or to abort the fetus, the child, or even before it's been developed into a human, like embryo, or even before that. As soon as that process has occurred, we cannot kill that embryo or even before that. It's haram. Abortion is haram in Islam. From the first week, you cannot kill this child. He or she will be the future man and woman in the society. So it's important that we understand the ahkam al-Islam with this regard. As a married couple, important that abortion is haram in Islam. And that's a qatl nafs. And there's a kafara for it if you kill, according to the stages. And it becomes severe when the baby is given the soul after 4 months again. So yes, one exception, ulama would say, before the 4 months, that's when the mother's life is in danger. So either she dies or the baby dies, then the priority given to the life of the mother. So they would basically remove the child. So that's the exception. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Therefore, we find that with regards to the Jahili era, the ignorant era, that the one who came and spoke out with the Muhajirin and Ansar, reminding them of their previous life and era of Jahiliyyah. That's why are you rejecting Ahlul Bayt? Why are you negating Imam Ali alayhi salam's Khilafah? Why do you remove this great position from them? Salamullah alayhim. Yes, indeed, she was the Lady of Light, Fatima Zahra, Salamullah alayha. She speaks in her khutbah about how the people within the Muhajirin and Ansar lived the life in the time of Jahiliyyah and ignorance time. She says, Salamullahi alayha, وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَا حُفْرَةٍ مِّنَ النَّارِ. You were on the pit of the fire, on the brink, on the edge of fire. Khalas. You're been fighting each other as tribes for 200 years. Imagine, Aus and Khazraj, the Ansar. 200 years fight, kidnapping each other's people and wealth and destroying and killing. And the Holy Prophet came and he did ukhuwah, brotherhood between them. Subhanallah. So you were on the pit, on the edge of the fire. تشربون الطرق. You used to drink polluted and dirty water. As you know, in Hijaz, in the Arabian Peninsula, there was no rain, there was no rivers. Even till now, there's no a pond, or let's say a lake or river. It's all barren land, Sahara, nothing. Maybe just thorn plant. So they used to rely on the previous months of rain, for example, and would be collected in small puddles, and they drink from that puddle, in which the animals would drink as well. So I'm not going to mention more than that. So they would drink from that puddle, which animals would step in it and drink. This is Hal Arab in that time, Jahiliyyah time. تشربون الطرق, polluted water. وتقتاتون القدة, and used to eat the skin of the animals. They couldn't afford to pay for a sheep or a camel or a cow and eat the beef meat or the sheep's meat. Rather, they would take the skin on the animal, the outer skin, dry it, and eat it occasionally when they have there's a scarce of food and so forth. This was the hal of the Arabs in that time. أذلة خاسئين, with humiliation, zalil, zillat, living in a zillat way, in a humiliation way, and despised. تخافون أن يتخطفكم الناس. You were scared that people would come and kidnap you, take your belongings, loot your assets and wealth. Always they were scared that the tribe that we attacked last month, they're going to attack us again. Always in fear. Then she, Salamullah alayha, mentions that who saved them from all this dhulm, all this bigotry and jahiliyyah mentality and tradition. فأنقذكم الله, Allah saved you, تبارك وتعالى, the Almighty, بمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله. The one who saved you was my father, the Holy Prophet of Islam. Brought them out of this ignorant way of life. And after Islam, they became wealthy. They became wealthy. Read the history of some of those. Wealthy. The money came, the wealth came, the business thrived. So this was the situation before Islam. What about now? Is there some kind of a jahiliyyah in this era, in this time? We can say somehow there is sadly, some kind of jahiliyyah in which we still face. And that is known as the atheism, ilhad. And atheism has been spread since the A'immah time, alayhim as-salam. I'm going to mention the hadith as well from the Imam's time. So people would raise doubts about the existence of Allah, the creation that was made by Allah Azza wa Jal. That is there a God? Is there a creator? So they try to prove that scientifically, that Allah doesn't exist and there's no creator at all. What happened? There was a big bang, and evolution by billions of years eventually created the sun, the moon, the earth, the oxygen, the ozone layer, and as humans, animals, plants, and that's it. And this is all done by random process. That's the slogan. And random process made this mobile phone from nowhere. Just pieces were collected in somehow, and then made this mobile phone. This is how this model was made, random process. Not even a child would accept their logic, which is an irrational logic. We can't accept it at all. Everything has a creator. Even the Big Bang, if we suppose, let's say we accept it, there was a Big Bang. Who triggered the Big Bang? The muharrik, the one who moved. They have no answer. It just happened. خلاص. Random process. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Now, one of those who wrote about atheism and called for atheism and tried to scientifically refute the theism or tawheed or ilahiyat, a man who died a couple of years ago with the name of Steve Hawking, famous scientist in the UK. He was very smart. He had discoveries to do the astrology and so forth. He has a statement in one of his books. He says, he says, and I quote, "It is my view that there is no God." Okay, fine, your view. Khair, inshallah. No one created the universe. That's fine, it's your view. And no one directs our fate. Yani, no one can take us to paradise or to hellfire. Now, where did you get this from? How do you know that the universe was not created or created? How do you know that? Predictions, assumptions? And then he goes on, talks about the God and so forth. And I discovered something important about these people, these scientists, that they have not studied the true tawheed that came through the Holy Quran and the Holy Household. Alayhum salam. They never studied. And that's why they are stubborn and they say that we are certain. The other one, Richard Dawkins, he says we are certain that there's no God, there's no creator. They are certain with this regard. Why? Because they did not study the true tawheed through Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Rather, he says, Mr. Steve, the late, he says that how could I believe in a God? Possibly it's one of those gods that's from Asia, I don't know which religion. How could I believe in a God that they mentioned he was a gigantic man, and when he wanted to create the universe, he threw out the planets one by one. So first the Earth, then the Sun, then the Mars, then the Jupiter, and then the Moon, and so forth, by throwing out. I could not accept such God. It's a myth. It's crazy. I don't accept it. The true tawheed comes through who? As the Prophet said, Kitab Allah wa itrati ahli bayti. When Allah says in the Quran, Laysa kamithlihi shay', nothing is like him. قل هو الله أحد. قل هو الله أحد. لم يلد ولم يولد. There's no son, there's no daughter, there's no partner to Allah Azza wa Jal. They didn't study, they fall into such skepticism and shak and doubt, sadly. Therefore, we see and find that when an atheist came to the Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he came to argue with the Imam about Allah's existence and creation. The Imam responded, Salamullah alayh, that if the case is as you state, that there is no God, while it is not true, of course, the Imam just, for the case of the argument, that let's say there's no God, as you say, then all of us will be rescued and saved. So if we die, as Muslims and non-Muslims and atheists, we're going to die and vanish, and that's it. There's no punishment, there's no hisab, so I'll sleep, as they say, R.I.P., rest in peace. Sleep equal ahsant. But the Imam says, the second argument, but if the case is as we state, yani there is God, there is Ilah, there's a creator, then we will be rescued and saved, but you will not. because we believe in the hellfire and Jannah and Aqab and Hisab, but you don't believe, so you go straight to the place you never believed in. So it's important for our youth, respected brothers and sisters, to learn the ilahiyat, the Tawheed Allah Azza wa Jal, through the words of Ahlul Bayt. Lots of arguments you'll find if you study, read Tawheed al-Mufaddal, the book between, it's a discussion between the Imam and his Ashab. So Tawheed is one of the, Mufaddal is one of the Imam's students, and was compiled, these negotiations and debates with the atheists and non-Muslims. So we try inshallah to study these, so we'll be able to refute when we are faced with non-Muslims, atheists, and so forth. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he remained alone after all of his ashab and family were killed and became martyrs. One soldier remained for the Imam alayhi salam to come out and to fight. Not to fight, but at least to make it as a hujjah, as a proof. It's Imam al-Hujjah. Imam went to the tents and he brought out a small soldier. I don't know how many inch he was. A small soldier. And he brought him towards the enemy line. He brought Ali Asghar salamullahi alayhi. After he called Alam al-Nasr yansuruna, Alam al-Mughith yughithuna, is there any supporter to support us? But all were killed. Salamullah alayhim ajma'een. So the Imam took Ali Asghar salamullah alayhi, and I leave the rest of the musibah with the Mawlana inshallah. He said, Ya qawm, لقد قتلتم إخوتي وأهل بيتي. O people, you killed my people, my Ahlul Bayt, my family members, one by one, وأصحابي, and my companions. ولم يبقى إلا هذا الطفل الرضيع. No one remained except this infant, this baby, Ali Asghar salamullahi alayhi. يا قوم انظروا إليه كيف يتلظى عطشا. Look at him, how he's such thirsty, extreme thirst. The Imam salamullah alayhi, as he was talking to them, suddenly he feels that the child is shaken by something. He looks at him and he sees an arrow inside the child's throat. Allahu Akbar. Imam Baqir says salamullah alayhi, the Imam took the blood of Ali Asghar, he threw it towards the sky. Not even a drop came back to the earth. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala طفلك الرضيع الشهيد المظلوم العطشان. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. شافنا وعافنا واعف عنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا. اللهم ارزقنا زيارة الحسين في الدنيا وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين عليه السلام. ارحمنا برحمتك الواسعة إلى أرواح المؤمنات أموات الحاضرين المرحومين. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
बारी दीगर सलावात। गाजी ने जब से छीना दरिया टहल टहल के, गाजी ने जब से दरिया छीना टहल टहल के, खुशियाँ मना रही हैं मौजें उछल उछल के। कह दो जरा अजल से अब्बास गैज में है, मक्तल में पाँव रखे थोड़ा संभल संभल के। गर अर्श तक पहुंचती गर्मी जो तशनगी की, गर अर्श तक पहुंचती गर्मी जो तशनगी की, बह जाता कत्लगाह में सूरज पिघल पिघल के। करते अगर इशारा गहवार से जो असगर, करते अगर इशारा गहवार से जो असगर, टकराते खैमगाह से चश्मे उबल उबल के। जब जुल्फ़िकार चमकी करबो बला में शह की, दोज़ख में गिर रहे थे शामी उछल उछल के। और आखिरी मन, आबिद ने कर दिया है बैत को छलनी छलनी, आबिद ने कर दिया है बैत को छलनी छलनी, पाँव के आबलों से कांटे मसल मसल के, पाँव के आबलों से कांटे मसल मसल के। बर मोहम्मद अलैहि सल्लल्लाहु।
बर मोहम्मद वाले
शाह तो आए जाने मादर, तुम नहीं आए नन्हे मुजाहिद, रन में जाकर तुम नहीं आए। कब से खड़ी हूँ खैमे के दर पर, आँखों में लेकर अश्कों के सागर, पेश करूं आ जाओ जो असगर, पेश करूं आ जाओ जो असगर, तुम नहीं आए। रात अंधेरी दश्त बयाबां, डर नहीं जाना रन में मेरी जान, कैसे रहेगी माँ से बिछड़ कर, कैसे रहोगे माँ से बिछड़ कर, तुम नहीं आए नन्हे मुजाहिद, रन में जाकर तुम नहीं आए। बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलवात।
एक बार फिर सलवात। Brothers and sisters, I'm going to read a poem which is called The Last Arrow. Was sent to me by a dear friend of mine, Dr. Naveed Sayed from Calgary. He is also a neuroscientist,